Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're taking a closer, more grounded look at a topic that continues to generate a lot of attention among Iraqi Dinar followers, and that is the growing discussion around the month of April being a potentially significant period for Iraq's economic developments, and by extension, the Iraqi Dinar. There's been increasing speculation that this could be a window where notable changes might occur, including the possibility of a revaluation. At the same time, it's important to approach these conversations with careful analysis, separating optimism from verified economic signals and understanding what is realistically happening behind the scenes in Iraq. Now, the idea that April could be a very big month for Iraq is not entirely without context. Historically, certain fiscal cycles, budget implementations, and policy rollouts tend to align with quarterly timelines, and April often represents a period where first quarter performance is evaluated and adjustments are made. In Iraq's case, this becomes even more relevant because the country is still navigating a complex economic transition, moving from heavy reliance on oil revenues toward a more diversified and stable financial system. When people talk about a possible revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, what they're essentially referring to is a change in the official exchange rate set by Iraq's central banking authorities. This is not something that happens casually or suddenly without a foundation. A currency's value is tied to multiple factors, including foreign reserves, inflation control, trade balance, political stability, and confidence in the financial system. So while the excitement around April is understandable, any realistic assessment must begin with these fundamentals. Let's talk about what's actually happening behind the scenes in Iraq's economy. Over the past few years, Iraq has made noticeable progress in strengthening its financial infrastructure. The Central Bank of Iraq has taken steps to stabilize the exchange rate, reduce the gap between official and parallel market rates, and improve transparency in currency auctions. These are not headline-grabbing changes, but they are critical building blocks for any future adjustment in currency valuation. In addition to that, Iraq's oil revenues continue to play a central role. Oil exports remain the backbone of government income, and fluctuations in global oil prices directly affect Iraq's fiscal position. If oil revenues remain stable or increase, this gives the government more room to build reserves, invest in infrastructure, and support economic reforms. Strong reserves are particularly important because they provide the backing needed to support any currency adjustment, including a potential revaluation. Another key factor to consider is Iraq's federal budget. Budget implementation is often delayed due to political negotiations, but once finalized, it provides a clearer picture of government spending, deficit levels, and economic priorities. If April coincides with meaningful progress in budget execution, this could contribute to a more stable economic outlook. However, stability does not automatically translate into a revaluation. It simply creates conditions that make long-term currency strength more possible. There's also the issue of banking reforms. Iraq has been working to modernize its banking sector, including improving compliance with international financial standards and increasing integration with global financial systems. These reforms are essential for attracting foreign investment and facilitating international trade. A stronger, more transparent banking system increases confidence in the dinar, but again, this is a gradual process rather than an overnight transformation. Now, let's address the statement that the dinar could very likely revalue in the month of April. From a strictly analytical standpoint, this kind of certainty is not supported by official data or confirmed policy announcements. Currency revaluations are typically preceded by clear signals from central banks or government authorities. These signals might include policy shifts, public statements, or coordinated economic measures. As of now, there has been no official confirmation indicating that a revaluation is scheduled for April. However, that doesn't mean nothing important is happening. What we are seeing is a continuation of incremental progress. Iraq is working on strengthening its financial position, improving governance, and addressing structural challenges. These efforts may not produce immediate, dramatic changes in the exchange rate, but they do lay the groundwork for long-term stability and potential appreciation of the currency. For Iraqi dinar followers, it's important to understand the difference between short short-term speculation and long-term economic reality. In the short term, the exchange rate is likely to remain relatively stable, with minor fluctuations influenced by market dynamics and policy adjustments. Sudden, large-scale changes are unlikely without a significant shift in economic fundamentals. In the long term, the outlook depends on several key developments. Continued growth in oil revenues, successful diversification of the economy, improvements in infrastructure, and increased foreign investment could all contribute to a stronger dinar over time. Additionally, with political stability and effective governance will play a crucial role. Investors and institutions look for consistency and predictability, and these factors directly influence currency strength. It's also worth noting that global economic conditions have an impact. Exchange rates are not determined in isolation. They are influenced by international trade, interest rates, and geopolitical factors. For Iraq, maintaining stable relationships with trading partners and integrating into the global economy are important steps towards strengthening its currency. Another aspect to consider is public expectation. When there is widespread belief that a revaluation is imminent, it can create unrealistic expectations and, in some cases, lead to disappointment. This is why it's important to focus on verified information and avoid relying solely on speculation. A responsible approach involves monitoring official announcements, analyzing economic data, and understanding the broader context. The phrase, trying to figure out the pieces, is actually quite accurate. Iraq's economic puzzle involves many interconnected elements. Currency policy, fiscal management, banking reform, and political stability all need to align. Progress in one area is helpful, but meaningful change typically requires coordinated progress across multiple fronts. So what does all of this mean for those who are closely watching the Iraqi dinar? In the near term, it means staying informed and realistic. April may indeed bring developments worth noting, such as updates on the budget, economic reforms, or financial policies. These developments can provide insight into the direction Iraq is heading, but they should not be interpreted as guaranteed indicators of a revaluation. In the longer term, the focus should be on fundamentals. If Iraq continues to strengthen its economy, build reserves, and improve governance, the dinar's value could gradually reflect those improvements. This would be a more sustainable and credible path compared to a sudden, unexplained revaluation. It's also important to emphasize that currency investment carries risk. Exchange rates can be influenced by factors that are difficult to predict, and there are no guarantees of profit. Responsible decision-making involves understanding these risks and avoiding actions based solely on speculation or hype. As we move through April, it will be interesting to see how Iraq's economic story continues to unfold. There may be announcements, policy updates, or indicators that provide more clarity. The key is to interpret these developments within a broader analytical framework rather than jumping to conclusions. In summary, while April is being highlighted as a potentially significant month, the idea of an immediate or guaranteed revaluation of the Iraqi dinar is not supported by confirmed evidence at this time. What we are seeing is a continuation of gradual economic progress, which is essential for long-term currency strength. By focusing on fundamentals and maintaining a balanced perspective, followers of the dinar can better understand what's happening and what to realistically expect. Thank you for watching, and if you want to stay updated with responsible, factual, and balanced Iraqi dinar news and analysis, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, this content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice.